It's finally here! Tron Ares, the third film in the Tron franchise. 15 years. 15 long years we've waited for this movie. And was it worth the wait? No! What a disappointing week it has been for movies. Last week I reviewed him, which was very disappointing, and now I'm reviewing Tron Ares, which is probably the most disappointing movie of the year. You guys have no idea how hyped I was for this movie, and the reason is because I think Tron Legacy, the previous film, is one of the most underrated films ever made. You could put a gun to my head and try and force me to change my mind. I ain't doing it. I absolutely love that movie, and I will defend it to my dying breath. So when they announced that a new movie was coming out, I was like, yes, finally, thank God, we need a new Tron movie. And then they give us this. Now, this movie is not irredeemable. It does have its good parts, mainly the visuals. I think the visuals in this movie look far better than the ones in Tron Legacy, which is something I did not think I'd be saying. And the reason I think that is because we don't see much of the grid in this movie. There's only like 5 minutes worth of the grid in this film, and it does look really good. But what I think makes this film stand out above Legacy is the fact that they integrate these really high-tech effects into the real world so seamlessly. I cannot recall a single fake looking shot in this movie. The CGI in this movie look absolutely crisp clean. I think the practical effects in this movie work really well too, so I have no issues with the visuals in this movie. And 9 Inch Nails on the soundtrack for this movie. Oh yes baby, yes! I absolutely love the soundtrack to this movie. It's very Tron-like and it absolutely slaps. 9 Inch Nails did a brilliant job. I would have liked Daft Punk to return, but I just know that was never going to happen. But 9 Inch Nails, a great replacement. And unfortunately, that's basically it in terms of positives. I think everything else about this movie is either really bad or just incredibly mediocre. The worst thing about this movie was the story and its characters. Get ready to be bored by every single character in this movie because you do not care about a single one of them. Ares is just your typical AI super soldier who has zero personality. There's these really nice NCOM executives who are just really bland. And then you get the villain, who I just want to talk about for a minute, because he's the most stereotypical big corporate leader guy ever. He's just like, whoa, I got technology and I'm going to sell it to the military and I'm going to get a load of blood money. Woo, can't wait for the money. That's literally his entire motivation. And I don't mind these over-the-top villains. In fact, I think they really work in most movies. But you've got to make them threatening. And this movie does not do that whatsoever. And the story of this movie had so much potential, but for some reason, they decided to go with the most cliche AI robot wants to be a real human story. And I'm fine with people rehashing stories for movies, as long as they do a unique spin on it, which this movie does not. Other than the fact that this movie is set in the Tron universe, this movie's story has nothing to make it stand out. You get all the beats, you know where it's going, so really there's just not that much intrigue. And somehow, this movie managed to be incredibly boring, and it's mainly thanks to the incredibly poor pacing. The first 2 acts of this movie are so poorly paced because it is basically just conversations about the grid, AI, technology, systems, and it really wants to make you think that it's really, really smart with what it's saying, but it's really not. We've heard this dialogue tens of millions of times. And the one thing that Tron Legacy did really, really well was that it managed to balance these really significant conversations with some really cool action scenes and really cool grid moments, which this movie fails to do. The first act of this movie is just bollock talking like that, and then the third act really does pick it up. I really did enjoy the third act for the most part, because that's where all the cool action is, which this movie unfortunately doesn't have enough of. If you're going to give me a bog standard AI wants to be human story, at least give me fun characters and a load of really cool action scenes. But no, this movie decides not to do that. And this next section involves spoilers for Tron Ares and a little bit for Tron Legacy as well if you haven't seen that. So skip to this time code if you don't want spoilers. But at the end of Tron Legacy, Sam Flynn takes over NCOM. And you're thinking, okay, in this movie, we're going to see a bit of development of that. Well, no. In the first 2 minutes, this movie had me worried because it completely undermines the ending of Legacy. Sam Flynn has stepped down from the company for personal reasons, and that is the only explanation we get. And Cora is somewhere. We don't know. So, what an absolute middle finger to the previous movie. Another big issue I did have with this movie was the dialogue. I think the dialogue in this movie was absolutely terrible. When it's not talking about AI and technology and systems and all that crap, it is the most unhuman-like dialogue ever. And it really affects the performances as well. There were no bad actors in this movie. I like all of the actors in this movie. Except for this guy right here. Jared Leto, look, I hate him as a person. I think he's a right creep and a real weirdo. As an actor, though, he's really good in most films. But he's not good in this movie, unfortunately. I understand that he's playing an AI character who's trying to learn human emotions. But you need to give a bit of personality to the guy, because Jared Leto is basically just playing Jared Leto. He's so dry in this movie, you just can't connect to his character all that well. Greta Lee, another talented actress, is in this movie as well. Once again, she plays a very one-dimensional character, and she has zero personality in this movie as well. She does a couple of quips, but that's about it, really. And then Evan Peters, who plays the villain, you'd think, okay, this is his time to shine. He's proven that he can be very over the top, but very likeable and very charming in these sort of roles. But he can't do that in this movie, because the dialogue prohibits it. The only actor who's giving off plenty of personality is Jeff Bridges, who returns as Kevin Flynn. Unfortunately, though, spoiler alert here if you're bothered, he's only in the movie for like 3 minutes and he does pretty much nothing. I mean, they do give a decent enough reason as to why he can come back, but that's about it, really. But hey, fair play to Jeff Bridges. Man showed up for this movie for 3 minutes, delivered a really nice performance, put a smile on my face, got the bag and left. Fair play to him. This movie really has no personality, other than the visuals and the music. But if you want to listen to the music, just download it on Spotify. It gives off the same impact anyway. So Tron Ares was a massive disappointment. Yes, it has some really cool visuals. Yes, the music absolutely slaps. The action scenes are pretty decent as well. But other than that, I thought this movie was a real chore to get through. The story is incredibly watered down. The characters are so one-dimensional. The acting is dry and lifeless. I cannot believe that we've waited 15 years for this movie, and Disney gives us this. And honestly, I don't really want any more Tron movies after this. If this is what they're going to continue to do, then I don't want any more, unfortunately. Which is such a shame, because I absolutely adore Tron Legacy. And this world and its lore and its rules can make for really interesting stories. But Disney chooses to just not do that. And that is really upsetting. So Tron Ares, one of the most disappointing movies of 2025. And it's unfortunately going to receive a 4.5 out of 10. And people, that is the end of this review. If you have seen Tron Ares, do let me know your thoughts in the comments. Did you enjoy it? Did you not? Let me know. But I hope you all enjoyed this video. Have a good day. And see you later.